Hi everyone, so I thought I'd do a bit of a chatty video about how we got rid of the dummy, or how I got rid of the dummy, because yeah, it was all me. Anyway, getting rid of the dreaded dummy. It was something that I was worried about because Eliot did like to have dummies, did like to have his dummy, but what really made me kind of think it's got to go is the fact that it could affect his speech development. I have friends that have nieces, nephews, and they still have a dummy at like age 4, and it has made a significant impact on their speech. They don't talk very well, and they struggle to say certain words, and I know that's not necessarily going to happen with all children, but for me that was one of the reasons why the dummy had to go for Eliot. Eliot's also he's got a bit of a lisp, and I don't know whether it's to do with having the dummy or just a developmental thing, because obviously he's still only really young, it could go, but as he already had a bit of a speech thing, I didn't want it to get any worse, or it to make if it was a possible cause of him having a lisp, I didn't want to drag it out sort of even longer. I know health visitors say that toddlers should be rid of their dummies by 2. And again, that's probably another reason why I wanted to get rid of the dummy. But I'm not saying that what the health visitors say is right at all. I think, you've got to be ready. You've got to feel that your baby or your toddler is ready for it before you decide to do it. But yeah, so just decided he's not going to have the dummies. A couple of times he asked for his dummy, his dodo, which he was calling it at that time. I was like, no dodo, you're a big boy, you don't need it anymore. And he'd be a bit whingy, a lot less whingy than I thought he was going to be. I thought it was going to be really quite difficult. So I was pleasantly surprised. That's why a lot of parents put off taking the dummy away, because they're worried how stressful it might be for the toddler. But you just never know how it's going to pan out. I think because you know your child really well and how they cope in different situations. And Eliot had been particularly reliant on his dummy when we'd been in hospital a couple of times this year. And without it then, he would have been really distressed, I think, because it was a big comfort for him. And that was a reason why I thought, I don't want to take it away, because if we end up back in hospital again, because he's had febrile convulsions, it's likely to happen again, because it's happened twice now when he's got a temperature and it rapidly changes. So that was a reason sort of put me off taking away the dummy. Another reason that really encouraged me to decide to take the step to get rid of Eliot's dummy was a family member of mine told me about a distant relative that they were 10 and they still had a dummy. I'm not being judgmental, but for me, there's no way Eliot's going to have a dummy past the age of 2, because he doesn't have one anymore. That kind of freaked me out and made me want to get rid of Eliot's dummy. So yeah, no, my family member told me that the 10-year-old is obviously aware that they were too old for the dummy, because they'd only get out of bedtime, so it's obviously like a comfort thing, but they'd put the dummy in their mouth and stuck it behind their hand, and I just thought, I definitely do not want that for my son. When I was completely shocked when I was told that, because I know as parents we make our own decisions. It's not anyone else's place to judge what is right or wrong for our children. Anyone that's thinking, oh, is it the right time to do it? You might be, like I was, pleasantly surprised. I'm not saying it's going to work for you. It might be a bit more difficult for you, because I think once you decide to do it, you've got to follow it through, because I can imagine it could be really hard. I mean, there have been times when Eliot has been been really difficult sort of tantrum wise, and if I gave him a dummy sort of in the past, that would be one of the things that would help him to calm down, especially when we're out and about. So times like that I found it hard, but you know, I followed through. I've not given him a dummy, and one of the things I did was throw out all the dummies, or I thought I'd throw out all the dummies, but when I was sorting through Eliot's room the other day, this was behind the cot, so yeah, I thought I'd just use it for the video purpose and then it would be going in the bin. So my top tips for getting rid of the dummy: number one, make sure that you feel you are happy and ready to do the journey, and obviously that your toddler or your baby is going to be able, you feel that they're going to be able to cope okay with it. Number two, be ruthless. Okay, you have to be ruthless. That's how it worked for me. I'm not saying it's going to work for everyone, but I know some people do the whole dummy fairy story, which I thought, oh wow, that's a really good idea, that sounds lovely, but I wasn't sure whether Eliot would completely quite understand. So yeah, one day I was a ruthless mum. I just decided he's not going to have the dummies anymore, and that was probably late May, early June, so just before he was 2. Number three, whichever way you are choosing to get your child off the dummy fairy, just taking it away completely. Then remove all the dummies in the house, because then there is not the temptation there for you to give them to your toddler, or if your little one happens to see it, for example, it falls out the cupboard or something like that, then that will make things hard. And stick with it, don't give in, because it may seem bad at first. I mean, it wasn't for me, but it might be for you. But stick with it, because you will get there in the end. If you have any other tips for helping little ones get off their dummies, or you have any videos, blog posts, do leave the links below, because I'd be interested to see what worked out for you. Sorry about the noise in the background, that's my cat in a plastic bag rummaging around. Anyway, thanks for watching, see you soon, bye.